I just want to say thanks very much for having me on, talking about our journey with Spina Bifida. We've had an eventful time. So on this first slide, you see my family. So that's myself and my wife and Emma and Adam. And Adam is our Spina Bifida warrior. He's 2.5 now. And I'm just going to talk you through kind of our experiences and our journey with the condition and what our hopes are and um, what we see our challenges are in the future. If there's any questions, happy to take those and just put them in the chat, and I'll answer them at the end. So we'll just get started then. Okay, so back in middle of July 2015, we found that we were pregnant with our second child. Our first pregnancy, Emma, was quite traumatic. So she's 10 now. So we waited around for a wee while before we decided we were going to have another child. And we found out that we were pregnant, and it wasn't planned as such. So we weren't really taking any folic acid supplements at that point. And we were progressing as normal. And then once Paula discovered that she was pregnant, she started taking the folic acid at that stage. But of course, we all know now that that's too late. And the spina bifida had taken effect. So we were really excited. We didn't know any different. The reason that Paris is showing on the screen is I took Paula away for a romantic weekend to Paris, somewhere that she'd never been before, and life was really, really good, and we were a very happy family. We were very excited about the future, and things were going great. So then this is nearly 3 years to the date. On the 25th of October, we went for our 20-week anomaly scan. And driving to the hospital, and even leading up to the scan, we were very excited, and we were really we decided that we wanted to find out the gender of the child, and that was our biggest decision to make, going to the hospital. And we went in, and there was a young sonographer who started doing the scan, and the scan was taking quite a long time, and she kept going back to different parts of the baby's body, and we knew that something wasn't quite right. And then that's when we got the diagnosis of bifida. And I suppose the closest likeness that I can think of for that feeling is mourning. You know, we were mourning the passing of our perfect child. You know, we weren't going to have a perfect child anymore, and hearing words like spina bifida and hydrocephalus and KRE2 malformations and was all very daunting and very scary for us, you know. And I had some understanding of what spina bifida was, but I never really understood it. Thankfully, we got in contact with Shine, the UK charity for the conditions of spina bifida and hydrocephalus, and they met with us within 24 hours to talk us through the condition and what we could expect. And without that support, I think we would have been very much lost. The doctor at the time the consultant that came to see us at the time of the diagnosis, spoke of three options really. The first one was that the option was that the baby would be born and the lesion would be closed within 24 hours of being born. She also kind of hinted towards some sort of specialist prenatal surgery, but she said the likelihood of that was unlikely. And unfortunately, in Northern Ireland, she couldn't actually say it, but she said there is always a third option. We knew that third option was the potential of termination. So we decided that pretty early on. We weren't going to go for that termination. And I suppose at that stage we had kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that you know, in Northern Ireland, the default surgery and approach would have been to have the surgery following birth. So so we had kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that that was going to happen. However, then my sister, who's a medic, sent me a couple of articles about prenatal surgery that they were doing in America, and they started doing it in Belgium, and they were doing it in Germany as well. So we started researching that, and we looked at it, and we decided that actually we would try the prenatal surgery, and we decided that we would go to Germany. The two options we had was either Belgium or Germany, and Belgium has open fetal surgery where the baby's back is exposed and the lesion is closed up, or in Germany it was done by keyhole surgery called fetoscopic surgery, where using trochlers they would go into the womb and put a collagen patch over the baby's back to prevent any further damage in the womb. Now this surgery is meant to help reduce the likelihood of being shunted, help reduce reverse carry malformation, and it's also there to help increase mobility and bowel and bladder function as well. And if any of you are aware, there was a trial called the MOMS trial, MOMS, in America, which showed that the efficacy of prenatal surgery was absolute and definitely showed an improvement for outcomes for children. So we decided then we'd go to Germany, and my wife has never forgiven me for putting these photographs up of her on the slide. So this guy in the top left-hand corner of the screen is a guy called Professor Thomas Cole, and he developed the surgery, and he is pioneering that surgery. And this is Paula. You can see on her below that is her stomach, where the four marks are, where the surgery was performed. It wasn't like a C-section; it was very small incisions. So we travelled to Germany on the 6th of December 2016, and we went and had the surgery on the Wednesday. That was a Sunday. We had the surgery on the Wednesday, and Adam decided that he wasn't going to play ball very much, and he loved swinging on his umbilical cord and dropping his heart rate and stuff like that. So at one stage there was a fear of us not getting home from Germany, that we were going to have to stay. Eventually we decided, we got all the test results and sent them back to our obstetrician in Northern Ireland, and they said the results were perfectly fine. So we checked ourselves out 10 days later and flew home. And as with this type of surgery, there is a risk that this leads to early birth. And on New Year's Eve, just as we were getting ready to have a small family party, Paula's waters broke, and she went into hospital. So that was at 30 weeks. She remained in hospital for further 4 weeks, and Adam thankfully stayed inside, keeping warm, for those 4 weeks. And then on the 2nd of February, Adam was born. He was delivered by C-section, and he remained in neonatal intensive care unit for 4 weeks. We have to say that during that time, the support that we had on the NHS was superb. They couldn't have done enough for us. And during that time, regular checks were done, and he was really on borderline whether his hydrocephalus was going to require a shunt. And after 3 weeks, they decided that actually it had developed enough that he would require a shunt, so a shunt was inserted after 3 weeks. So we were all very excited. He's as you can see, he's a gorgeous wee fella. So we fell in love with him immediately. And actually, it's a really interesting thing. An interesting thing happens before birth. You're talking about a diagnosis. You're talking about medical terms. You're talking about a condition. You're talking about what life's going to be. But actually, when the baby's born and Adam's born, all you have is your wee boy and your child, and all of a sudden, regardless of the challenges he's going to have, he's your wee boy. Spina Bifida doesn't define Adam, but it is an important part of his life, and it's become an important part of our lives as well, and it's taught us a wee bit more about being compassionate and understanding. So when he was born, then you can see from the slide, the top one is shortly after he was born, and this is the collagen patch that was put on Adam's back when he was in the womb, and you can see the staples all around the sides. And as we looked after it and kept it clean and everything, you could see that the skin granulated and eventually it's closed up. So we had to learn how to be sterile nurses and clean that wound and make sure that he was good. After about 7 weeks, Adam's shunt got infected, so he was readmitted and a shunt revision was put in place. Up to his second birthday, but thankfully after that, he hasn't had any real admissions into hospital. He's had his regular checks. So by the age of 2, he had 93 appointments, different appointments. So those range from neurosurgery, urology, pediatrics, orthopedics, continence nurses, ophthalmology, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech and language therapy. So at the same time as all this was going on, we had our 10-year-old daughter to look after, and we were both holding down 2 full-time jobs as well. So it's been challenging, and I think the work being done by the research group, I think, can go a lot to see what parts of Europe are actually developing support mechanisms and better than the UK, or vice versa. Can we learn from each other and how to treat and look after kids with these conditions? So does everybody hear me okay still? Yeah, is everybody good?
Yes, David, we can both hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Super. So I suppose then, what every day, kind of looking after Adam, he's catheterized 4 times a day. He is a high pressure bladder, so we need to catheterize to kind of prevent any kidney damage, and also, just to make sure that nothing happens to his bladder. He's also on medication 3 times a day as well, and that's just to relax the bladder a wee bit more, so the bladder doesn't become too firm as he develops. Every day we have to do some physio with him. We're always doing occupational therapy, and we're really developing his language and trying to work with his language all the time. He is slightly behind in terms of language development, but we don't know whether that's because he's a 2-year-old boy who's got a big sister talking for him, or whether it's anything to do with the condition. So only time will tell with that. With regard to physio, he's got a number of devices. He's got a pacer which allows him to support him while he's trying to walk. He's got a rabbit, which is a standing frame with wheels on it, which allows him to move about in the similar height as his peers. And he's also got a chair formula, and he's a bit tired. But his favourite mode of getting around is actually still crawling, and he quite enjoys himself. I suppose the other thing on a day-to-day basis is we're always second-guessing ourselves, so you're never really relaxed in terms of if he gets a temperature. Babies do get temperatures, with teething or with a mild flu or a cold. So you're always having to second-guess yourself in relation to whether there's something more sinister going on with shunt issues. So you're always mindful of that, and we're always very cautious of it. So what impact has this had on us as a family? I think there has been a major impact on our daughter Emma. She's had to grow up massively over the last 3 years, going from an only child for about 7 or 8 years to having another baby brother and one who requires some special attention has been very difficult for her. But she's a sturdy young girl, and she's made us very proud, and she looks after Adam just as much as we do. So also the impact has had a really detrimental impact on mine and Paula's mental health. I've discovered throughout this that I'm really good in a crisis. So all around the time of deciding whether to go to Germany and the surgery, I managed that all very well, and Paula was falling apart. But it was only after reflecting on what we've been through that then I had a number of episodes, quite serious episodes of depression. And I think, that there is definitely work in there that that needs to be talked about in terms of what psychological support is there for families to enable them to get through the trauma of dealing with a child in the early stages of the condition. And I suppose the other one, being quite a proud family, we were quite independent, and we then suddenly realised that we need to rely much heavily on others for support, and that included family and friends and employers. So it had a really massive impact on our lives, and it's been difficult and challenging. But there's also a flip side to that. Having a child with special needs has brought us so much joy. It has introduced us to people and people with conditions that we would never have been involved with before. It has taught us to appreciate what we have. Our house, we've got a lovely 3-bedroom house, but it isn't. It's probably the messiest house you'll probably ever walk into. But a messy house and a happy family is what we've got. But some of the things that it's opened up to for us is, I was at the Houses of Parliament earlier in the week when we were campaigning for the fortification of flour with folic acid. Meeting with MPs. That would never have happened if we didn't have Adam with us. I was speaking on radio this morning about the surgery. Those things would never have happened. And not only that, we've met so many wonderful people who have had their conditions with their children is much more severe than Adam's, who just show real resilience and real passion and real love for their children. And I think, as hard as everything has been, that there has been real light as well with that. And I think it has taught us to be much more compassionate. It has taught us to be much more understanding of people. It has taught us to be much more stronger advocates for our children as well. With Adam battles at the moment, we have learned that we have to fight for everything to get him what is needed for him to have a full and independent life as he can. So that's kind of been the impact that we've had so far. But none of that could have happened without the support of work and family. And there's two people in particular that I wanted to mention today. The first one, this is Joanne, and this is Paula's sister. Joanne is Adam's godmother, and she has really stepped up for us. She's really been our crutch that we've leaned on significantly. She has also joined the board of trustees of the charity Shine to help make sure that the services that they provide continue to support families in the superb way that they do. So she's really took up the mantle of supporting people with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. This is my sister now. This is the doctor who told us about the fetal surgery and really pushed us to the fetal surgery, and we'll forever be indebted for her to push us in that way. And I think Adam will always tell Adam how much she pushed us. So she's been really supportive. And then here's all the cousins and Adam's grandfather as well. And also our employers have been superb. Paula works for Helena Coca-Cola, who bottled Coca-Cola in Lisburn, and I work for the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service. And without the support to be able to go to Germany, without all the medical appointments, without their support, it would have been 10 times more difficult. And we always count ourselves very, very lucky. Very lucky to have employers that were like that. If our situation had been different, where we were coming from a different socio-economic background, where we had a different level of education, where we had not as much family, where our employers weren't as understanding, this could have been a very, very different journey. And I think that's the difficulty that I have with this condition. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. However, access to those surgeries and access to the support that is needed is at times inconsistent. And I think that if anything, we can do to help level the playing field in terms of access to care and access to support, then I think we've people who go through this are, I feel duty bound to try and advocate for that as well. So what happens in the future? Adam is a bubbling, bouncing 2-year-old who actually has sat on the naughty step a couple of times because of the tantrum he pulls, and it's great to have those normal baby things that you need to deal with. We just have to accept that our life is going to be different to the one that we expected to have, and I think that is, once you can get to that acceptance, you can move on, and therefore we accept that our life is different, not different from anybody else, but different to what we expected. And I think that's sometimes the biggest hurdle to get over. The education, Adam is due to go into the nursery school system in the UK next September, but we've already started the process of trying to get the support that is required in classrooms now, and we are struggling. We know that one's going to be a battle, and I think that is another key element of the research, that access to education with kids with these conditions is vitally important, and we would hope that Adam would go to a mainstream school, but in order to get that we have to jump through hoops. There's significant bureaucracy, and in times of austerity and challenging budgets, all the support for special education needs are being cut. So we really need to do something about that. And we know that Adam's going to need more surgery. We know that he's got an element of tethered cord, so that'll need a bit of work. So we know that he'll have to have shunt revisions as he grows as well. So we have to go back through that trauma of handing your baby over to highly skilled surgeons, hoping that everything goes well. So we know that that's going to happen as well. And I suppose all of this is about all of our aims, all of mine and Paula's aims is to give Adam as independent a life as possible, to be able to stand on his own 2 feet, metaphorically and actually, and actually make his way in the world to enjoy his life. And I suppose that's what we're really fighting for. And I just wanted to finish with a saying from Mahatma Gandhi. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. It's taken us a wee while to realise that is what we've done, and what we're going to be doing. So, but we hope that Adam has a great and full life. That's the end of my presentation. I'm really pleased to have been given the opportunity to speak to you about our journey, and I hope that by telling our story it inspires other people to go and get the help they need, and we're always very open to discussing conditions at the point of diagnosis if it is helpful for other parents. So Julie, thanks a million for having me, and best of luck with the research.